Welcome to Let's Be Perfectly Queer,
a queer podcast creating space to talk about all things queer.
My name is Archie.
And I'm Katie.
And we are your hosts.
Yes. And back.
And we're back. And we don't have a proper topic because life is hard at the moment. It's hard to juggle everything once you go on break and trying to come back and be the same motivation and the same energy that we had before. It's hard to find that balance.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
On another note, if you haven't listened to our last episode, we had a great chat to Mo who's the Hinge the dating website.
Yeah, the love and connection expert.
I was going to say that, but I forgot to mention what Hinge was in the last episode. And I'm like, I never explained that, and I just assumed that everyone would know what Hinge is, but there are a lot of people who don't or who haven't used dating apps.
That's true.
So I'm like, if you listen to this episode first before the other episode,
the other one will make much more sense.
Exactly. Hinge is a dating website. That's what it is. Anyway.
It's a dating app.
It's a dating app.
And their whole
nothing's
motto is made to be deleted. So it's not about keeping it like Tinder or Bumble or whatever the other ones are. They pride themselves, because I remember listening to a podcast, and I think it was started by a couple, I could be wrong, who talked about dating apps and that kind of stuff, and they wanted to make an app that was meant to be deleted. So it's not to be kept. Because it was about finding the one, not about a one-night stand or anything like that. Like, obviously, some people still use those apps for those kind of things, but that's not what this app's about. And that's why that's their motto.
That's so cute. That's so cute.
Cute?
That's so cute.
You're going to say that's so true and cute at the same time?
I know. I've been doing that a lot today.
Yeah.
But it is so cute. Basically, I'm making a new word, guys. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Because we met on Hinge.
We did meet on Hinge.
Which I'm glad I mentioned yesterday. I'm glad I mentioned in the last interview. And I was like, that's so cute. I do want to make cute a word.
Yeah.
Cute should be the new word. I feel like they haven't made that many new words recently. You know how we went through a phase where they were making new words every year?
I think it's because you're not a teacher.
Most of the words, and I could be wrong because you're right. I don't deal with kids, and I'm very thankful for that in my life. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm a little bit ageist, won't lie?
Yeah.
But I don't have to deal with teenagers saying weird shit. But I feel like from all of the Instagrams and all of the social media recently, it's just been a resurgence of words that we used to say when we were younger, or back in the generations.
Yes, some of the stuff has come back. But there's also other words that, the students say all the time, and I kind of ignore because I'm like, that's really stupid.
Oh my gosh. Can you try and remember a couple and then tell me, and I'll try and guess what they mean?
Rizz.
Oh, I know this one because it's charisma.
Right, so that's one.
But I learned that from social media because I was like, oh, what's Rizz? And I just assumed Rizz was a new word, and then it was like, oh, it's charisma. It's short for charisma. I'm like, seriously?
I'll do some Googling because there's some that, when you know them, but it's not until you
Yeah, I getcha.
Rizz and 7 other slang trends.
Yeah, do it.
Well, obviously, sus.
Well, sus is just suspicious. That's been around since we were younger.
But it's come back.
See, things are making resurgence. That's what it is.
The ick.
Yeah.
So this is all stuff that's come around, like Nepo baby.
I feel like everyone's a Nepo baby these days. Have you look at all of Hollywood? Most people are Nepo babies.
Yeah, it's true.
And you don't even realize they're a Nepo baby, or wait, okay, I'm going to show my knowledge basis here. What does Nepo actually mean? Is Nepo short for something?
I think so, but I can't think. Let me look. Nepotism.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Because all I could think of is Neapolitana ice cream, and I'm like, it's not that.
There's other things like Delulu, which is not
delusional.
A couple of kids say it. So it's. I think the slang these days is just shortening everything to crazy short. I think that's pretty much it. There's nothing.
Isn't that just Australia?
Yeah.
That's just Australia for you. We shorten everything.
But I think the TikTok have realised and the TikTok generation and the Gen Zs, they're like, oh, it's super simple if we just shorten everything. And I think that's what's been happening. I think. Who knows? But there's some stuff that the kids say and I'm like, oh, that's silly. But yeah.
Do you ever have moments where you're speaking to your students and you're like, actually, that makes a lot of sense. That's actually pretty cool. Or is it those are very rare moments because they're all stupid?
Never. I'm just like, that's so stupid and it sounds stupid and I'm not going to repeat that.
I would love it if one of your students is listening. They're just like, oh no, Mix hates me.
Mewing. It's the stupidest thing.
So I got really confused with mewing because I thought mewing, and maybe it's because I'm on the different side of Instagram, but I thought mewing was something to do with where you're meant to put your tongue to make yourself look skinnier.
That's what it is.
Yeah, but you said that it was also a sign of disrespect.
It is. So it's I'm not going to talk to you. The kids point to their their chin or whatever, their jaw, and like I'm mewing. So it's like, yeah, it's a sign of disrespect. I don't have time for it. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, kids are already disrespectful enough.
You should just come work with adults. Adults are so much more entertaining.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe not entertaining. Entertaining is the wrong word. I guess less irritating at times. I think dealing with children generally is just very irritating.
Yes, and there's so much more I'd like to say, but I'm also a teacher, so I can't.
Yeah, I know you're limited. Do we still want our day jobs?
Yeah, no. I'm trying to win the lotto. It hasn't happened.
It's true. We're still here, guys.
One Powerball. Anyway, so what have we been up to besides just dissing being a teacher in the 21st century?
What have you been up to? You started us off.
It was a lot of marking recently, because it's that time of the term where you have to mark a lot. I try to do everything at school so I don't bring anything home. So it has been getting up a little bit earlier to get to school earlier so I have some quiet time while nobody else is in so that I can actually get some marking done and not get distracted. Otherwise, I get very easily distracted. So that's what I've been doing. And then also, what else? Went to FOMO last weekend. We went to that Second Life market, which was pretty crap.
I think just vintage stuff is a lot of fun, but then also I feel like it's gotten so, popular. In a way, popular and commercialized, which is really good. Like, I think the sustainability aspect of it is really good.
Yeah.
I agree. But it's also, I won't lie, a little bit annoying. And maybe this is me being a bit gatekeepy in the fact of, like, when we used to go out thrift shopping for all the, like, Americans out there, or maybe the rest of the world. I'm not sure if everyone else in the world calls it thrift, but we don't.
We call it op shopping.
I was like, what does OP stand for? Opportunities? No.
Yeah, I think it was like second opportunity or something.
Is
something
that
like
what
that.
it is?
I think so.
Damn it, I'm learning some
Someone
new
tell
shit
us
today.
what op shop means.
Anyway, so I feel like it never used to be big in Australia, and it used to actually be like looked down upon because it was just like, oh my goodness, you're like a poor kid doing op shopping. But now, thankfully, because people have made it cool, there's like a whole thing for sustainability. But then on the flip side to that, you can't find some good stuff now. Like, you don't get the treasures that you used to get.
No, and then it doesn't help that you have these little treasure gems or like treasure chests, and then someone puts it all over TikTok, and there goes your treasure chest, and then you don't get the good things anymore. But also, it's some because op shops were for people who couldn't afford to buy things in the shops, and now Kmart tends to be cheaper than op shops in general.
It's true, but what really grinds my gears is that the whole thing of reselling, like we were saying even today, is that people finding things for really cheap and then reselling them for
a ridiculous amount.
Ridiculous amount, which is not what op shops are for.
No, but some people use it as a business. So some people go and they literally go through all the aisles, and they treat it like a job. They'll get up from 9 to 5 and go to every single shop and then resell it. And like I get it, but you're profiting.
Is that a bad thing?
But you're also, I get yes and no. It depends how much you mark it up. If you buy something for $3 and you're marketing it up for $150, yes.
But is it actually a bad thing? Like, if you make it a job out of it, so you're actually doing the work.
Yes.
Because sometimes people do that. In the same way that there are some people that are secondhand stylists.
Yes.
That will go to all the different thrift stores or secondhand stores to find you something that's personalized, but it's secondhand, which is actually really ethical. Is that a bad thing?
I think it's how much? $3 to $30 for your time and effort?
Yeah.
Sure. $3 to $150, it's like you're profiting off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where someone else who could maybe can't afford to buy that for $150 and are absolutely ecstatic, and that one $3 item will be something that they love and cherish forever. That's what I get frustrated about. Or lately I've been seeing things on Marketplace. I'm like, oh, that's great. And it's for free. And then someone's gone and bought it, and then they're charging an arm and a leg just to flip it straight away. Nothing changed. They haven't even done anything up to it or anything like that. They're just profiting off someone else's generosity.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the level of it being fair.
Yes, that's it.
It's the fairness aspect, isn't it? Interesting. Also, something we did recently, we went to our first dog show, and
it wasn't our first dog show. Perth Royal Show was our first dog show.
I feel like this is the first individualized dog show. This is what I'll preface, is it's not being related to a royal show. And in America or anywhere else in the world, what we have here in Australia, it's kind of like a carnival cross agricultural. So there's got a lot of animals and dog shows and other stuff, which is great. It's really cool. It's great. But anyway, we went for our first dog show that was just you go and see dogs, and there's stalls that have stuff for dogs and stuff for humans. And it was a lot of fun. And I won't lie, it's a big gay scene. I didn't expect it when we were walking around the dog show, I didn't expect to see so many queer couples. And I was like, is this where all the queer people go after they're too old or they feel too old to go clubbing? This is what they spend their days doing.
They raise dogs?
They raise dogs.
Possibly.
I think
no
that
idea.
that's...
And there was a rainbow dyed Chihuahua cross Pomeranian
There
thing.
was.
Yeah.
I also saw an Akita that had a lilac purple tail.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It was very cool. But I'm just like, I think I felt so at home there. It's because there was such a great amount of queer representation. And I'm like, this is fabulous. Have I found a new niche that I want to get into?
You can get into that. That's fine. I will. You can do that. That's your hobby. You do that. It's yeah.
I don't want to be a participant in it. I just want to go.
That's what I mean. Like you can go.
I'm going to go to every dog show out there. It was so much fun. It was great. I love seeing the dogs do their tricks and like fancy stuff. There was also a banner that said dog dancing. And oh no, it was dancing with dogs.
Yeah, dancing with dogs.
And we didn't get to see it because it wasn't happening while we were there. But I'm like, I want to know what that is. I want to be around for, is that people dancing or is it people dancing literally? I've just got this mental image of like people ballroom dancing with dogs.
That's what I think it is. They're like in their ballroom outfit with their dog in this matching outfit and they're dancing. That's what I'd assume.
What, like porter hands
exactly.
dancing?
100%. That's got to be dancing with dogs. If that's not it, I don't want to go.
Well, I didn't think you were going with me.
Just for dancing with dogs and that's it. I just want to see it what it is once and then that's it. It's your hobby. It's all good.
That's how I'm reeling you in. Dog dancing. That's it.
That's exactly it.
Dancing with dogs. Sorry. Got to correct myself.
But yeah, so we went to FOMO. It was overpriced. People were selling things for ridiculously expensive and it was a waste of time.
Can you explain what FOMO is?
FOMO is a place in Freo that they have little events and that kind of stuff. So right in the heart of Fremantle, you've got like bars and food and eateries and there's a place called FOMO and that's where they have all of their events. And it was too crowded. You couldn't move around. There wasn't that many stuff.
All right,
and it was just crap. It was crap. Like, not only me, like we went and we caught up with my sister and some of her friends and they all agreed it was shit.
I think it's always difficult when you're expecting to go to a place and you don't expect there to be millions of people.
Yeah, but also the layout was just crap. The way they laid it out was crap. And then like just because the couple of weekends before, I went to Second Life Market with Elise and our cousin and it was great. And everything was affordable. And everything was giving things a second life. It wasn't just, hey, I've bought something for $3 and I'm going to charge $450 for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. It's the fair aspect of it.
But it's also just like, yeah, but in this economy, I'm not going to spend $450 on a jacket.
Yeah. I don't understand the rationale behind that because, okay, so if you're looking at a designer brand and retail for the designer brand, okay, let's talk about designer handbags.
Yes.
Something I know a little bit about just because we traveled to Japan. And if you're ever looking for designer handbags, either seconds or firsts, like they have such a huge market for out there. And it made me really interested and I kind of got into it when we were there. So Coach is a designer brand of handbags, but say their retail price for one of their bags is like $700. But somebody's selling it without realizing it's a Coach bag for like $50. And then someone takes it and then resells it for $600, which is less than the original price. Would you be annoyed at that?
Yes.
Why?
Because you've ripped someone off knowing it's a greed thing, right? It's not like it's a greed thing. So if I was to find something for $50 that was Coach and I knew one of my friends would love it, I'd give it as a gift and say, hey, I got a steal on it, right? It's the greed that you're literally pulling the wool over someone else's eyes or for their generosity or whatever and making a profit of it, off them. You're like profiting off them and their naivety or whatever it may be. I don't, like, I know people do a living of it, but I personally could not do that.
Yeah, because you'd rather tell the person who's originally selling it that it's worth like this amount of money.
Yeah, because, you know, for example, all those pops that I buy for super cheap that are worth a lot, but I don't actually sell them. It's part of my collection because they bring me joy.
That's true. You
know, they make me happy. And it's not, I didn't buy them knowing that it's good, like these are really, really expensive, I'm going to buy them. I bought them and then I checked the value for them afterwards. I'm like, oh, these are actually worth a little bit.
Yeah.
But did I sell them? No, I've still got them 6 years later.
And someday if we ever go under, it will be what funds our lives.
Unless pop vinyl goes under.
I love it. I've got to tell you a story. So like Archie's been obsessed with pops before I've known you.
Yes.
Well before. And pops are those little figurines that have the big heads.
Yes.
They're called pop vinyls. They come in little boxes. They look really cute. They've got them for different franchises, either Marvel, DC.
Oh, everything.
Everything. Simpsons, everything. It's got them for everything. Celebrities.
Musicians, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And they had some Blink-182 ones as well,
Yeah,
and all
I've
this
got-
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've got them.
You do? Yeah.
Yes,
I was
I
just
do.
like, I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah.
Also the Harry Potter ones.
Yes.
Very cool. And the thing is that every now and then, due to demand, their price or their value will fluctuate.
Yes.
Which is great. I love the fact that one of our friends had a pop vinyl and you were just like, oh, have you valued it? And you're like, oh, let me pull out my app. And you've got this great app that has all the values.
It's all the
of
trending
pop vinyls.
values, yeah.
Great. And I remember the look on his face when you were just like, oh, like
It's worth like $300.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like, what?
Yeah,
This
had
is
no idea.
amazing. And the invigoration on his
I
face.
know, then I got him hooked. I'm so
You
sorry.
did. Exactly. Exactly. But it was such a pure joy
Yeah,
on his face the moment that you were just like, oh, by the way.
it's worth $300.
And he's not going to sell it.
No,
But it's just that joy of being like,
this is how
See,
much it's worth.
thank
And that's it.
goodness, because that's the whole thing. Imagine he resold it and nobody told him what the price was
Right.
or what the value
And
was.
he sold it for $20 of what bought value, not realizing it was $300.
Here's you sitting out here with your scales being like, this is fair, this isn't fair. Are you sure you're not who's the one with the scales? Virgo? Libra.
I have no idea.
Libra's come on, some lesbian out there. Tell me what like the star sign with the scales is. I'm pretty sure it's Libra.
I have no idea. You're looking at me like I should know. I have
I'm
no
looking,
idea.
No, I'm not looking at you like you should know. I'm looking at you trying to go into my memory. One of my friends is going to be really annoyed at me.
Should we actually get into our topic? Because I feel like we've just talked for
Anyway,
crap for like
so
20
this
minutes.
episode this episode is about, listen to our chit chat. This episode is about, we're going to do another queer and A.
Queer and A.
Queer and A. Da, 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 da,
queer and A.
I said I'd never do this again.
Yeah, but the other one I have I go in the background, so we had to
Do
do it one more
you?
time. Yeah.
Ah,
Should we do it one more time just to make sure we got a
No.
good version?
nah,
And we'll just cut it and that's it?
nah, this is it. You only get it once per episode. If it's not good, it's not good.
No, I meant so that we could just have that one as our...
Nah,
okay.
every time.
All right, we have to do it every time.
Every time.
All right.
Hit me.
So, what's the difference between bi and pan?
It's a huge difference.
That's
Are
a
you
question.
asking me?
On Reddit, what is the difference between bi and pan?
Easy, huge difference. As the words suggest, bi meaning two, so bisexual, meaning you're attracted to two sexes,
Yes.
which is generally, if you're looking at heteronormativity, you might be just looking at males and females. You're not understanding the full binary of sexualities that are out there, or like the non-binary of sexualities out there. But bi is just being attracted to cis males and cis women.
Yeah.
Whereas pansexual is being attracted to people indiscriminative of gender binary. That's what it is. What would you
Yeah.
define it as?
I was just going to say, yeah, bisexuality means you like a man for being a man, you like a cis man for being a man, and you like a cis woman for being a woman. You know, you like that's what you like about each one. But as someone who's pansexual, it's more about personality first, and it's more about, okay, I don't care whether you're a cis woman, a cis man, transgender, non-binary, whatever, I appreciate you for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's how
Yeah.
I'd say it.
That's how I look at it as well. And granted, I myself, if I'm talking to somebody who I don't think is aware of maybe the queer community or genders,
Yep.
or all that kind of stuff, I tend to just say that I'm bi because it's easier than trying to explain that you're like that I'm pansexual, especially because people are just like, the first thing they always say is, "Oh, you're attracted to pans." I'm like, I'm just over that. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
It wasn't funny the first time.
It wasn't funny the first time, the 50th time, the millionth time. It wasn't, and I can't help it because it just,
Yeah.
that's the reaction I get.
So there's a comment on Reddit, and I thought this was really good.
Yeah.
Bisexual people saying they like both genders is just going to make it more complicated. So we're just going to reword the whole thing. Bisexual means you're attracted to male and female, men and women, X, Y, and XX. That's it. Done. That's all. No more. Just those two. And then pansexuals are like open-minded bisexuals. They literally like f***ing everybody. Agender, bigender, gender neutral, gender fluid, etc., etc., etc. Male, female, and the 72 different counts of non-binary. If you don't care about gender at all, you may just be asexual, or you just don't care what you're working with. If the second option, you, my friend, are indeed a pansexual and attracted to male and female, pots and pans, non-binary, and what comes next. Well, anyways, hope this has helped a lot.
Do you know what? I agree with that, but also I disagree at the same time, because you can be pansexual and bisexual while being asexual.
Yes.
Because you might be aromantic, so you're still either attracted to people who are either the two gender binaries, or you're attracted to everybody and no tomorrow. But you don't want to fuck everybody.
No.
Like, I don't want to fuck everybody, but I'm attracted to everybody. I'm not attracted to everybody. Don't come at me.
Watch out.
I'm not. There's just a lion out the door for me right now. No, it's not about fucking. It's about finding attractive. Hit me with the next question, baby.
Here's another one. What's the difference between she, her, and she, they pronouns? I don't really understand the difference because I never met someone that told me they had a disliking of neutral pronouns being used for themselves.
What do they mean? So they don't understand what she, they means?
No, they just don't understand why someone would use she, they, because they feel like they don't have, that people wouldn't be upset by being called they.
But some people are.
Yeah.
Some people have this whole thing about being called they, even though they has always been used.
Oh, this is a good question. And I actually don't know how to answer this one.
Cool. Can't wait.
Do the plus people get offended they don't have their own letter? And how did the Q get added and stayed but the A dropped? It's different in Australia because we still use LGBTQIA+. But I have noticed on more stuff in the States or online, it's LGBTQ+.
Ah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, IA is intersex and asexual.
Yes.
And then plus.
Yes.
Sometimes people who are intersex don't feel like they fit in the queer community. We've addressed that last time on our Queer and A.
We did.
I don't know. It's an interesting thing, isn't it?
Well, if you think about it, you're not included.
No. Oh, yeah, I'm not, am I?
Because you're a plus. You're a pansexual.
I am a plus. I never even thought about that. How do I feel about that? I feel fine.
Yeah?
It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Nope.
Because I'm like, I feel like the whole thing is coming under queer.
Yes.
LGBTQ. I'm just like, I'm just queer.
Yeah, because I feel like anything else is kind of queer. And like queer is the umbrella.
Yeah.
Of all of the LGBTQIA+. That's my opinion anyway. But yeah.
I wonder if asexual people feel like they're queer.
That's a good question.
Does everyone feel like they're queer?
That is a good question. I have no idea.
I know.
And so someone did comment, me as a plus person, do not get offended. I don't need the letter. I wouldn't even need the plus. Though it's nice but not needed, I know I'm included anyways.
That's really sweet. I like that. I like that a lot. I think that kind of encapsulates how I feel, and it just doesn't matter in a way that we're already included, so it doesn't matter. It's not that whole you feel excluded, so you get annoyed. It's like, I'm already here. I'm already part of the group. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
How do you feel being part of the group, being part of the LGBT? You're literally third on the list. Do you feel like you're third?
Yeah. I don't really, it doesn't really bother me. I kind of just say I'm trans. I don't really go, I'm LGBT.
Yeah. Or you say you're queer.
I don't say I'm LGBT. It's kind of something that you don't really use as often as like queer. I think queer is more commonly used these days than LGBT.
I think because people tend to ask you, I don't know who these people are, but when you've discussed in the past what your sexuality is and the fact that you're straight, and then having to explain that, but you're still queer.
Yeah. What's the difference between transgender and transsexual?
Ew.
These are questions from straight people to LGBT people, if that helps.
That makes sense. Am I answering this, or would you like to answer it?
No, you're answering it. I'm asking you the question. Until you find the questions, you have to answer them first.
I'm trying. I'm downloading Reddit. Literally while we're chatting, you can
use the website.
I tried to, but it said that the one that I wanted, which was questions to LGBTQ, it said is not moderated and might have explicit content, and therefore I had to download the app to get onto it.
Yeah.
It's a bit annoying. So how do I feel about transgendered versus transsexual?
Yes.
Well, transsexual is not a word that should be used anymore because it has such negative connotations. So, thank you. That's the one. See, this is why I can't go anywhere without you because you're the only one who can understand me.
I finish all your sentences.
Let it go. Anyway, if you don't get that reference, you're either way too old or way too young. So transsexual is not a word to be used anymore because of the negative connotations associated with transvestites, who also, there's no such thing as a transvestite anymore. It is inappropriate representation of people who are trans, or it is drag queens.
Yes.
They are two things. There is not something in the middle to muddle things up because it is a misrepresentation of transgender people, basically in negative connotations in movies and in media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So by saying transsexual, you're actually saying a word that's derogatory. If you want to educate yourself, you say transgender.
Yeah.
If you're talking about somebody who was mislabeled gender-wise at birth or identify as a different gender that they were assigned at birth, or somebody who may be part of the non-binary umbrella. That's what I would say.
I do want to point out that there are still some older transgender people who go by transsexual.
Is there?
Mm-hmm. I've seen it online. And for me, I couldn't be called that because that makes me feel very uncomfortable. But there are some people who still use those terms. So I just want to point that out.
That feels a bit icky.
I think the new preferred term these days is transgender. And basically back in the day, if you would go like 50 years backwards, transgender and transsexual would mean the same thing. But we no longer use transsexual. So we've been binge watching Two Broke Girls, and they do use some of these terms, and it's very uncomfortable. For a show that's not super old, it just shows how far we've come in a short time with our language and how it's changing to make people feel more comfortable and feel less sexualized. I think, I'm not 100% sure when the change happened. That should be interesting to look at. But it's a lot more comfortable and more...
But you know what I think it takes out of it is having the word sex in it.
It takes out the sexualization of being transgender.
It's first of all, it's about gender.
Yes.
It's not about who you want to have sex with. It's where we break down these two things of when the queer community come under our different labelings of if you identify as a different gender or if you identify as a different sexuality. Sexuality is who you want to have sex with. Gender is who you identify as themselves. So it's a misrepresentation because it's not talking about your sexual orientation because that comes into a different realm of things. Like we kind of briefly talked about with you being, I was about to say homosexual and I'm like, well, that's coming out, isn't it? You being heterosexual, but you being transgender.
Yes.
So it's a difference. So I think the word sex shouldn't have been in it. And I think that's what people have realised now. Most
probably. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Would you like another question?
Always.
Why have a Pride Month? I mean, you're like any other person and you don't see straight people go and have a straight month.
Straight people have every month.
Such a good point. That's it. Drop the mic. That's all you need to hear.
Yeah.
It's funny because with Mardi Gras just having gone and that kind of stuff, and I'm finding with what's happening in America and everybody being so homophobic and outwardly homophobic, I'm finding that it's starting to creep into social media a lot more and creep in Australia. Because, you do have the rainbow washing of the companies who change their logos to rainbow flags and stuff during those celebrations, and just seeing the outward hate and more people saying things like, why we don't have a straight month. And I could rattle off many reasons why we still have Pride. You have fear of walking down the street holding your partner's hand, and then you come back and say, all right, this is what you're fighting. You're fighting for the same rights. You're fighting for the same respect. You're fighting to just be treated like any other human. And once LGBT people and queer people are treated exactly like everybody else without the fear of discrimination or death in a lot of countries or jail or whatever it may be, then there will no longer be need for Pride.
Totally agree.
You'll probably change the name and what it's called, and but while there are so many people and who are still fearing for their lives or fearing for their rights to be treated like anybody else, that's why we have a Pride Month. It's that one time to be able to feel like you don't have fear to go out in public and be exactly who you are. Because I'm going to say, after seeing the homophobia around the world, I was very scared to go on a train by myself to Pride.
Yeah.
I didn't wear as many things that I normally would. I actually drove to the city instead and parked near my sister's house because I was too scared to get public transport in Pride colours due to the blatant homophobia that is happening around the world. And so when you fear for your own life or just being yourself, that's when you can, have a straight month if you really want. But until it's...
Like, we can count how many trans kids have been killed recently.
Yes.
The numbers are racking up, and it's not just within the trans community, which happens to be a huge topic of contest at the moment throughout the world, is whether trans people should be around or not. And you can't have that kind of conversation and think and either be trans or be somebody who's close to a trans person and not be scared.
Yes.
Because these things are happening already. Without having the visibility that trans people are humans like everyone else, or the fact that queer people, all part of the LGBTQIA+, are just general human beings trying to live their lives, that there is nothing negative about there's nothing that's illegal, there is nothing that's harmful for other people. it's not a bad thing, that you have to keep on putting this representation out there and these kind of positive things out there to outweigh the negative that is overwhelming. Like, it's just really difficult. You need to keep on expressing that it's fine, that it's normal, that it's good, that these kind of things don't matter in a way that it should be so normalized that you don't even have to speak of it.
Yeah, that you shouldn't have to come out. Until that happens, there's going to be pride. And, pride is a time where when I'm with a group of people, I feel safe to be trans. Otherwise, I kind of just seem to pass to everybody else, and I kind of hide in my passing, if that makes sense, until there's a moment where I can actually say, hey, I'm trans. Other than that, I kind of just hide parts of myself for my own safety. I never used to do it as much, especially when I was first coming out, but with the world going backwards, I fear for my life. So I have to be a lot more careful about who I come out to and in what circumstances, I
was watching the not expose, but like the behind the scenes of Shit Creek the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Eugene Levy's daughter who plays Twyla. And she was saying, and it was either her or it was the person who plays Stevie. I can't really remember. It was one of the two. But they were saying it's beautiful that Shit Creek has created this world where if homophobia didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I looked back on it and I was remembering it through that lens and just the beauty that happens with having just all of those relationships that don't have to be spotlighted as the stereotypical, it's the token gay relationship.
Yep.
It's just another relationship, as queer relationships are in the community. That's just how queer relationships are. They are no different to other relationships.
Yeah, it's a relationship.
People just have to realize if you're not in that it's actually normal. Like, it's perfectly fine. It's not hurting anybody else. It's not doing anything. It's just a normal relationship.
So there is a comment here, pretty much sums up what we've said, because in much of the world, LGBTQIA plus people are still oppressed. Straight, allosexual, people that want to have sex, and cisgender people have freedoms such as marriage that in some countries, LGBTQIA plus don't have.
I've got a great question, and I'm not sure if we've addressed this before in the past. It's a bit long, but let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
When you were out and open to your friends, peers, and family members, did they start thinking you were the one they were going to ask all those cringe and inappropriate questions to that are anything that's LGBTQ related? My biggest fear is when I come out is being constantly put on the spot and have people ask me rude questions they think about gay, trans, or queer people. What's the best way to shut those down?
Well, from my direct family, no. They didn't
Have
really...
you never been asked questions like that from your family?
No.
Ah.
No.
I'm kind of not surprised in a way that I can imagine it being like, okay, that's it. I won't ask any more questions and then I don't have to address the situation.
My family don't really ask a lot of questions anyway. We're not very an emotional chatting family. So it was kind of like, okay.
What about friends?
Some friends ask some questions, but if I don't feel like answering it, I don't answer it. I say, I'm not going to answer that.
What advice would you have for people though?
What advice? It's much easier when I just ask you the question. So basically the advice I would say is you don't owe your knowledge to anybody if it makes you uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. If you want to be that open source to answer questions, go ahead. I get more inappropriate questions from my workmates than I do my friends. But
how do you tend to address them in a professional manner?
Well, because I am an open book, so I don't care. If that makes sense.
Do you always answer them then?
Yes, majority of the time.
Do
like
you?
99% of the time I do answer them.
What's the most inappropriate question you've been asked at work?
I can't even think. Like, honestly, at the time I'm like, that's a weird question to ask. Or did you just ask that? But I'll answer it anyway because I say, look, I am an open book and I'll answer whatever you like. That comes from me and my personality, and everybody's not like me. Everybody doesn't want to answer every million questions or whatever. I feel like I would like to be that resource to help educate people, because I feel that if more people know, the less the people are scared of things that they don't know. So I'm happy to answer those questions. Does that make sense?
What if it's inappropriate? What if people ask you if you would have top or bottom surgery?
They ask that.
And you answer it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you not feel icky?
No. That's me though. That's what I'm saying. I don't feel icky. I just say, yep, I have had top surgery. I think someone asked me if I was going to bottom surgery.
Yeah.
And I said no. I said I don't need it, so I'm not going to have it. And that was the end of the conversation. Just kept it short, sweet, to the point. That's it. And that's the word of advice. If you want to answer it, short, sweet, to the point where they can't ask more questions. If you don't want to answer it, just say that's not appropriate. I have more inappropriate questions from students. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
That's simple as that.
I think the whole thing is I've been asked inappropriate questions about you.
Mm-hmm.
When people learn, or like I've had friends ask, how do we have sex? And I'm like, I don't ask how you have sex. Like, I don't need to be involved in that conversation. You should not be involved in my conversation about it.
So sit down. I'll give you a play-by-play. No, I'm not going to do that.
Fucking hell. I'm not going to your work Christmas party.
I'm joking.
Jeez Louise. No, I personally tend to shut things down.
Yeah.
Unless I see it as an educational opportunity, or it depends on the intention of the question. So, like, if people don't need to know because they're just being nosy,
yes,
then I shut it down. Because I'm like, you don't need to be nosy. This is not actually giving you any information, or this isn't going to enhance your knowledge or understanding or you being more of an ally to the queer community. You're just being...
I think it also comes from where the questions are coming from. Is it coming from a good place, or is it coming from a nosy, homophobic place? I think that all determines whether I'm going to answer the question. Most of the people who do ask me questions, they don't mean to be inappropriate. It's just they don't have the tact to ask it in a nicer way. I don't find an offense in that, if that makes sense. And so one of the people who do ask me those inappropriate questions have recently told me how proud of me they are and about how they've been so glad to be a part of watching my journey and, you know, with tears in their eyes kind of thing. So I know that they came from a place of kindness. They didn't mean to be inappropriate or rude. It was just they didn't realize they were, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I think you have to outwardly look at the person who's asking those questions and whether is it coming from a place of, you know, warmth, or is it coming from somewhere to hurt you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the intention.
Yeah, it's all the intention of the question. Oh, this is a good question. I don't have an answer for it.
Cool.
Why does every gender identity have its own flag, and who designed them anyways?
Apparently there are random people in the world who design the queer flags.
Yeah.
The rainbow flag was designed by somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why do we need flags?
I don't know.
Where did flags come from?
Does anybody know? That is interesting. I have not thought of that.
Is there a heterosexual flag?
I think so.
Why do we need a flag? Where did that even come from? We're not a country.
Maybe it's a way to identify yourself to others.
Why could we not have a symbol
safe place?
like the Masons? I would prefer a symbol, not like the Nazis, but like a symbol. Could we not have a smiley face?
I guess. I don't know. I'm just interested. Like, I guess.
Or is that taken by drugs? I don't know.
Maybe it's a way to
flag.
identify yourself to others, and so you feel like you have a community and feel like a sense of belonging.
Well,
but I have
around with a giant flag.
You just wave in someone's face like, here, I'm pansexual. I have no idea. I was like,
we should have capes, but we all know what happens to every superhero that has a cape. They get caught in something and die.
Is that true?
I've got a really weird question.
All right, go ahead.
Neither of us are going to be able to answer this greatly. Gay men, how do you feel about your partners having bigger penises than you? Is it a turn on, or is it their envy?
Well, you've been with girls before, right?
Yeah.
So I'm asking in a rhetorical way so that people who don't know can listen, yeah?
I'm like, wait, shall we just relive the past 4 years of our lives?
I'm doing it in a way for people who's listening.
Okay,
yeah?
Cool.
Were you envious if someone had bigger boobs than you?
I mean, definitely not, because I appreciate boobs, but it's not a comparison. So, like, I don't fuck people with my boobs.
But you know how some people are very obsessed about their boob size,
It'd be like comparing labia. I mean, I've looked at other people's labia and been like, well, that's a different labia. But I've never, I've never been like, oh, I wish I had longer labia. Though, granted, you know, sometimes people say that if you've got longer labia, there is like more sexual endings. And therefore, if you're scissoring, which thankfully we're not videoing right now because it's like there's these two fingers of mine intertwining being like bang, bang, bang. Anyway, but like apparently it's meant to be better because you've got more of your sexual organ touching their sexual organ if you've got longer labia. I'm just thinking of the Naked Dating show where you see from their toes
Naked
upwards.
Attraction.
Naked Attraction. Thank you very much. I can imagine, not that I would really have a preference, if I saw people's labia before their faces, I would just be like, oh, interesting labia. I wouldn't be like, What is my labia compared to lower labia? Are our labias going to interlock? I don't know.
I don't think we can answer this question.
We can't answer this question. We're not gay men.
No, I don't think we can answer this question because it's
gay men.
It's a bit,
come at us. Yeah. I'm interested. Do you ever get envy over your partner's penis?
So I've got one that I can answer, but you can't answer.
Okay, can't wait.
I'm in the middle of transitioning. Do you guys go to the bathroom of the sex you were born as, or the bathroom of the sex you're transitioning to? Because I know many places don't have mixed bathrooms, and I'm curious how you guys get around.
Can I try and answer this?
You can, yeah.
Wouldn't you go to the bathroom where you feel the most comfortable in?
When I was first transitioning and when I was like near the start, I would try to find a unisex bathroom.
Yeah.
And if there wasn't a unisex bathroom, I'd go to the one I felt more safe going to. And that would depend whether I was in a shopping centre, a bar, wherever I was, would depend on which bathroom I used.
I'm so intrigued. So if you're in the shopping centre, which one would you have gone to at start?
Female.
Why?
Because I didn't trust men.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? Because like men like to arc up a little bit more. And so I felt safer keeping my head down, rushing into a women's bathroom rather than keeping my head down and rushing into a men's bathroom.
Yeah, because statistics show that men commit the majority of the crimes in the world. So if you're going to get attacked, that percentage is highly going to be a man over a woman.
Yeah. And so then, unless I was with male mates, because then I'd go in.
Yeah, fair.
But then I realised that most men don't even look up at the bathroom. Most men don't even wash their hands.
Most men don't look at anything, do they?
No, they're just kind of in and out.
I'm so glad I don't have to go into men's bathrooms.
They are disgusting.
The only thing about unisex bathrooms, I mean, I'm happy for unisex bathrooms because it means that more non-binary people, queer people can feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But then the downside to it is it's going to be fucking dirty.
They weren't too bad. Unisex bathrooms are cleaner than men's bathrooms.
Well, they have to be cleaner than men's bathrooms because women have to spend more time in the bathroom. Saying, like, unless you're pooping in a men's bathroom, you're pretty much in and out of there pretty quickly.
Yes.
Whereas for a women's bathroom, you've got to sit down to pee. Sometimes it takes longer to actually get in there because of the amount of stalls. And then also, like, if you've got your period or pooping, it's going to take a while in the bathroom. So you don't want to be sitting there in the stench of 100 miscellaneous drops of urine that are all over the bathroom. Or, like, I find it disgusting, and I've talked to male friends about this, cisgendered males who've, like, peed and they've had peeing competitions to see how high they can pee on stuff. And it's just like, what the fuck are you trying to pee on walls for? What's wrong with you?
I don't get it. It's disgusting. You're literally peeing over someone else's property.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the only downside to unisex bathrooms. Tangents.
Let's end with this one, I think.
Yeah.
We can't really answer this because it's more directed at gay men, but we can have our own opinion on it. And if we got it completely wrong, please let us know.
Cool.
At weddings, do gay couples, specifically men, feel left out when the bride throws a bouquet?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us how you feel. I don't know.
I think it depends on the couple. I personally would think it would depend on the couple and whether they're into those traditions or not. Yeah. Because some people don't want to get married.
But the whole thing is like with bouquet tosses these days, I've seen men go up there.
Yeah, so I think this is an outdated question and probably from someone who doesn't have a lot of queer friends. So they haven't been to weddings because I've seen a lot of cis men get up and do the bouquet toss as well. I think it's a very outdated tradition and I've even been to weddings where they don't toss the bouquet at all.
I was just going to say, I think I've only been to one wedding where they've actually tossed the bouquet.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I don't think a lot of weddings do it. And I don't think, okay, I think hypothetical situation, if there was a bouquet toss and they'd said, all the single ladies go in, I don't think I would be in a situation where if they've got a gay couple there, they're not going to say all the single ladies because they're aware of...
Because they're aware of their guests.
Secondly, if they're not aware of their guests and there was one of the gay couple wanted to be involved,
I don't think
it's not like they'd be like, you, get out of here.
No.
And if they did, I'd be like no longer friends with them.
That's exactly it. So there are a couple of comments. I participated in both the throwing of the bouquet and the garter. It's not because I'm one of the girls. It's because I'm getting those bees back for having their bachelorette parties in our gay bars during the early 2000s.
I love that. Such a good statement. Also, the garter thing gives me the ick.
Oh, the garter thing is creepy. And I haven't seen a garter in a very long time. I saw it once and I was creeped out and I thought it was disgusting. And they had to get it off with their teeth. I'm
like, ew. Plus, everyone's watching. I'm like...
This was a bit of a disjointed episode. We'll get some new ones to you a little bit more organised.
I'm not going to apologise.
I didn't apologise. I just said this was disjointed.
I don't even care if it's disjointed. Welcome to our minds.
I think we kind of try to dumb down us a little bit to make us more palatable. But I think with it, people need to see us a bit more.
I think the thing is I spend so much time trying to sound either intellectual or the best way that I can do.
Have you noticed I don't?
Well, that's on having anxiety, my love. So it's one of those things that it's just like, hey, take us how we come. We're authentic. It is what it is. We'll tell you how it is and we'll try and educate you along the way.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you've got some questions, please let us know.
Yeah, send us an email on letsbeperfectlyqueerpod@gmail.com. Find us on our socials at Let's Be Perfectly Queer Podcast. Find us on Facebook on exactly the same. And give us a 5 stars on bloody Spotify or like wherever you're listening.
Please.
Give us a 5 stars. We're amazing. We think you're amazing. Let's just share the love. I'm calling to action.
Yeah.
We're getting up there.
Okay.
Archie's looking at me like so surprised. He's like, why have I gotten into this with you? Why did I ever ask you to be my co-host?
Yeah.
Convenience. Do you have any regrets?
Some days.
Don't even, you have to live with me. All right, so we've been Let's Be Perfectly Queer. This might be our last episode ever. Thanks for listening. Like I said, rate, review, and subscribe. We love you. Goodbye.
We're not ending like that. We have to end in our normal way. Until next time, I hope that we have been
perfectly queer.